Brandon Staley is gone. Finally, it happened.
Finally.
He got us a push on our Thursday Night Football entry in Week 14, but just for not getting us the win, he's gone now, and someone else is going to come in for the Chargers. But we're going to keep chugging along for the Week 15 slate. We've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday action. The leans are in the underdog pick generator, and now it's time to dish our favorites on the show. This is the Player Profiler Pick Em Hour, starting now. Welcome back to the Player Profiler Pick Em Hour. We're your hosts, Ahaan, Rungta, and Trevor Tipton, coming off a push in the Thursday night football game for Week 14. I was expecting offense in this game because as much as I didn't trust the quarterbacks, I definitely didn't trust these defenses. Lo and behold, we got a 63-21 game, and looks like everybody who had hires feasted unless you were on Quentin Johnston or Austin Eckler receiving, which was kind of ridiculous. And I really don't know what they're saving Austin Eckler for since he's literally gone this offseason. But that's the situation we're at. We're happy with the push. And you should be happy if you joined us on the show on Wednesday because that receptions line closed at 4.5. You finished with 4 receptions.
Yeah, well, rant started. I am convinced now, not only was it Staley, if you follow me at all on socials, you know my disdain for the misuse of the offensive team in that situation. I'm convinced, though, it's also Kellen Moore. Like, look at Dallas now, this season, now that Moore is gone, and look at Eckler's usage. Like, I don't understand. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's established himself as a good play caller. And I hope they get him out of the Chargers play calling and anything to do with it as soon as possible.
I just want my man Justin Herbert to be freed, and I've seen a lot of nasty agendas about Justin Herbert this year. I don't think last night necessarily proved anything, but it definitely didn't disprove the fact that Justin Herbert has had to deal with a lot of turmoil this year, whether it be injuries to all his players, and the only good player he has is Keenan Allen, by the way. And he's had to deal with some injuries with Keenan Allen, but now he's had to deal with the offensive play calling. He's had to deal with Brandon Staley, and they drafted Quentin Johnston on top of all of this instead of someone else. Literally anyone else in the first round could have helped Justin Herbert out. I want him to be freed, and I hate seeing the empty stats tweets about Justin Herbert because the man is a certified top 10 quarterback, and at times he behaves like a top 5 quarterback. So hopefully he gets healthy, and hopefully he gets freed from this situation soon, and we can get some real offense on the Chargers next year. But on the Raiders side, shout out to Aiden O'Connell, who's actually under the radar, been not terrible. And one of the reasons I liked the over in yesterday's game, one of the reasons I was all in on Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, pretty much everybody on that Raiders offense yesterday, was because Aiden O'Connell has been a solid quarterback against zone. I mean, he hasn't made too many mistakes. He kind of just what people thought Jimmy Garoppolo was, like game manager, gets the job done. That's been Aiden O'Connell this year so far, and he's posted some decent numbers against zone, which is why we liked the Michael Mayer look, which hit in the first half. I like Devontae Adams, so shout out to Aiden O'Connell. I started him in one league. If you started him in fantasy last night or this week, if you started Aiden O'Connell or any Raiders stacks in Week 15, you feasted. You were certainly happy with that. Zamir White finding the end zone as well. So good stuff coming out of Antonio Pierce's squad, and I think Antonio Pierce is establishing himself as someone who could be a head coach in this league for a long time. So shout out to him as well.
I will take I told everybody I had to start. I've had some bad injuries. I yeeted Zamir in hopes I would get I was hoping for 8 to 10 points. I almost doubled that. We ended at 16, 17, depending upon your league scoring. I will take that and run at the start of the fantasy playoffs. Give me that win. I'll consider that a win all day long. And I low-key like the Raiders schedule the next 2 weeks after this too for, fantasy implications. So could be interesting. And I do agree about Pierce. I think Pierce is going to make a good coach in the NFL.
And it is time to use that transition. Use the fact that we got a push on that Thursday entry.
Feeling.
Yeah, and we deserve the win, but we'll take the push. Honestly, can't be greedy in this business. Let's just use that frustration to destroy the underdog board this weekend. We've got Saturday action, and the good news is we have football to watch on Saturday. The bad news is the first four quarterbacks on the slate are Nick Mullins, Jake Browning, Mitch Trubisky, and Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is the best of those four, in my opinion. So that's where we're at right now with all these injuries. So we're still going to find value on the board. I know I have some action on Saturday that I'm going to dish out, but we're about to get into the Week 15 slate, the weekend edition. We've uploaded 16 early leans, or we uploaded, earlier this afternoon, 16 leans for the Week 15 weekend slate on the Underdog Pick Generator and the DFS Dominator on the Player Profiler website. A few of those projections already gone. So if you built some entries with some stuff there, you might not see it on the board anymore. We're going to build some stuff live on the show with picks that are actually on the board. But before we get into that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor.
DFS getting harder every year, but we're here to make it easier with the DFS Dominator, because I know a lot of optimizers keep coming out. Oh, our optimizer. What about this optimizer? But that optimizer. Well, we have a cash game optimizer that leverages the projections from Dario, Billy, the award-winning projections at PlayerProfiler.com, and builds the best lineups for cash games that have both upside and stability, because that's what you want. It's a couple clicks, boom, boom, boom. You get the best possible lineup for your cash games. But for tournaments, traditional optimizers don't work. That's why we have a Lineup Genius, which takes you through the process of building lineups the way they should be built. Which quarterbacks you want to be overweight on, then building stacks, then setting run backs, then optimizing, and generating up to 150 lineups that you can easily import into DraftKings, into FanDuel. That's the DFS Dominator. It's only $45 a year, not a week, a year. Just go to Player Profiler, click on the DFS Dominator from the menu, and you won't be sorry.
We're back on the Player Profiler Pick Em Hour, where we're about to give out some winners for the Week 15 Sunday slate. If you want to tail us, you can still join Underdog Fantasy using promo code Underworld, and you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100 upon entry. I have just refreshed the Underdog board so that we can make sure that everything we give out on the show, you can tail with us live for Week 15. And Trevor, this is a tough slate to navigate. So if you're in chat, drop some questions, and we'll try to help you navigate, whether it be fancy starts and questions or, how to attack these player markets. Trevor, where are we starting this weekend?
We're going to start on Saturday, and we're going to start with one that's kind of dirty. Three of my picks I was going to go with to start are either gone or the line moved too much where I'm not comfortable with it. So if you jumped on that Dominator early, you got definite advantage. But we are going with the suddenly rejuvenated, the man with the legs, Mr. Russell Wilson. So why are we going with Russ here? There's a couple reasons why. And what do we like, right? You can see here, there's a bazillion options for him, all the different things we can take, but we're going with over or higher 5.5 rushing attempts. Why are we doing this? Detroit gives up one of the most rushing attempts to quarterbacks so far this season. It's a very big number. I'm pulling it up here. So Russ recently has had 8 rush attempts, 9 rush attempts, 11 rush attempts, 10 rush attempts, and 6 rush attempts. So he is running. The only game he didn't do it against recently out of his last 6 was against Minnesota. So we like this opportunity here. We think this is a good spot for Russ to jump on board and take advantage of that. So Justin Fields, 18 rush attempts in their first game, 12 the next one. Taysom Hill had 13, and those were all pretty recent. The Lions are third worst in the NFL against quarterback rush attempts. They've given up 67 and 340 yards to quarterbacks this season. That is a massive number, and they're not third like it's some big gap between first and second. They're right there at the top. And I like the fact that they're going to be able to get pressure on Russ and force him to scramble. Hutch is going to get after him. Denver's line still isn't, while they're playing better, still isn't 100%. And in this situation, this gives him the opportunity to go. This is minus 130, 135 at sportsbooks right now. I was worried this one was going to move as well. I think this will by tomorrow. This is a good opportunity to take advantage of a line that, with the trend and where it's going, it has hit. We know, as crazy as this sounds, right? Detroit's playing for the playoffs. Denver somehow has a weird, sneaky chance to get in if a lot of things go right. So that opportunity is there. So we're going to start with Russ over higher than 5.5 rush attempts.
And it's gone.
Are you kidding me?
It's gone. Play the
You
horn.
are not.
I was not ready with the horn. Play the horn.
Wrong.
Yep, wrong one. If you're watching on stream, you can see my reactions. So that's number 4, everyone. I've been so good with my picks. That is now number 4 I lost. Is Denver down as a whole? Did the whole team go down, or is it just that?
So the legend has it that the underdog team watches our stream since we're winning so much off them recently. So they took down just the rushing attempts. Shout out underdog. We love you.
We love you. This has happened to me multiple times. Well, know what? That's it. We're going to the well. Senor, we'll talk about a little fantasy football when some starts hits. If you guys need any help when we're done here, we'll totally help you out. But we're gonna go to arguably the best value in the mid rounds for fantasy football this year. A friend of the show, someone we have gone to many, many times. I don't even have to say his name, and Ahaan knows where I'm going. We're actually going to change it, though. We're not going to go rush and receiving yards. We're going to go fantasy points. I like his fantasy points here. We're watching his lines move. His rush yards have moved up. His receiving yards have moved up in the last hour, and they're going higher. And something's going on with Russ. His passing yards just went up. There's some interesting line movement going on there. But we're going to talk about our friend of the show, Rachaad White. Who does Rachaad White get on this Sunday? He gets the Green Bay Packers, who is one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers. Only the Broncos have given up more yards, and it's just 30. It's not even close. They give up 4.61 yards per carry. They're giving up 141 rushing yards a game. The crazy number to me is they give up 5.5%, 15-plus yard carries. Over 5%, guys. I want you to understand these are professional football players, and they're giving up over 5% of the runs they give up are for 15 yards or more. We know Baker loves to check down. It's why we liked rush and receiving. It's what we leaned early dominator because his fantasy points weren't up yet. But the fantasy points also allows us to capture his touchdowns. So if he goes for 90 on 4 catches, but as a touchdown, we're there. So that's the advantage we're looking to take of here. That, hey, if he doesn't get there yardage wise, it's a hedge with his fantasy points and a matchup we really, really like that matters. And Green Bay is going to push the ball. Green Bay is going to be putting up points. They're going to have to come back and score. So the opportunity here for White to jump on that is pretty good. On top of that, when we go to the run block tool this week, while it's not the best, they also don't have the worst run block matchup was something I was worried about for Tampa Bay this week, but they do have a good pass block matchup. We know Baker is one of the top leaders every week in checkdowns. It's one of the reasons we like him, and we're going to go with a friend of the show. I'm pretty sure I have to buy a Rachaad White jersey at this point. I think I owe it to him. He's made me enough money this season. I probably should kick the guy a few bucks and buy his official jersey. So we're going to start there with Rachaad and just go with the fastball. I'm going to refresh one more time real quick because, guys, we're having to do this live on the show, and these lines are moving. And maybe we will get fortunate. And
I really like the Rachaad White look.
It's back. Let's go. Let's lock this sucker in. Let's get
Russell
it
Wilson
back.
No, you got me excited. I thought Russell Wilson was back.
No, it is. Russ Wilson's
is.
back. I literally just refreshed it. I have 5.5 up. So let's make sure you get it. Yep, Russ. All right. I am locking it in, and then I'll finish my breakdown. Thank you, Underdog, for bringing it back. We have it locked in. Obviously, this is getting some attention from other people because of Russ's opportunities, how much Detroit has given us the ball, and this is a game that also has a ton of opportunity to, for some points, and a game that, again, that matters to both teams very much so. This needs to be a get-right game for Detroit, but again, you see how many rushing attempts they're giving up. But on Saturday, the over-under is 47.5. This is a spot that the Lions are favored by almost 5. So Russ should be having to throw the ball. He should be having to use his legs, and we're going to take advantage of it here. By the hair of my chin, we got it in. I'll take the money and run.
And I like this so much. I don't always, verbatim just tell you on the two-piece. I put you like your picks in my like separate sprinkles, but I've tailed the two-piece today just because we deserve it after the tease in and out of Russell Wilson. Rachaad White's a guy that I've been very high on all year long, and this is a great spot for him. It would be so right if he kept this hot streak going into the fantasy playoffs, so that the phrase league winner gets used so much, but Rachaad White truly been a league winner so far. Just a great steal at ADP so far. So I'm glad it's fitting. We're going the fantasy points route, and the game is in Green Bay, and it's reportedly I don't love playing weatherman, but you have to kind of play weatherman when it's 35 degrees and windy, which is going to be on Sunday. So in that case, we love Baker Mayfield throwing the checkdowns, and we love Rachaad White getting the goal line work. So we love it. We got people in the chat, a lot of people watching, but Senor Football says, are you taking fantasy advice? We will, so drop your questions. And Mike says, Keaton Mitchell over 8.5 receiving yards. So I do want to point out Keaton Mitchell is an enigma because the profile is there. Obviously, we love the athletic profile, explosive guy. The Ravens running backs, always an adventure, but Keaton Mitchell specifically, in week 14, he took a step back in usage again. So it's so appropriate that the Ravens faced the Rams last week, because on one side you have Kyron Williams, who's a small guy but getting all the usage because quote unquote Sean McVay says he's on my fantasy team, and then on the other side you have Keaton Mitchell, who we love the profile, but splitting time with Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, and then even Patrick Ricard running routes as well. So difficult situation here, and player profile projections and my own personal projections have this at around a fair line, somewhere between 7 to 11 receiving yards here. So I'm personally going to stay away completely from this Ravens backfield until we get further information about what they want to do there. Justice Hill ran 20 routes last week, and Keaton Mitchell ran 9, and Gus Edwards ran 11. So personally, I'm good when it comes to this Ravens offense right now.
If you are going to bet it, if you are going to play a higher on underdog with, or play one with it, if you're like, hey, I really like to play, the value is on the higher because of his breaking ability. I'm with Ahaan that there's not enough edge here for me, considering his recent usage. However, if you're going to go higher, if you're going to go with it, go higher. If it's like, hey, I really like him here, because he is one of the few backs in the league right now that can just – we've seen his game-breaking speed ability. He can take one and turn it into 25 yards really fast. So that's, taking the under, you're saying, hey, I don't believe he's going to get any usage. And if you're taking the higher, you're saying, hey, he has the opportunity to break one in one play.
Yeah, we like that. And it's a primetime game, so you never know really what to expect, especially if Trevor Lawrence trying to play through what is probably a pretty bad ankle sprain. So we're staying away from this Sunday night game for now on the underdog board. But We're not staying away from the Saturday slate, and I have some picks. Hopefully, they're not gone. But I'm starting with one that I think will be gone. It's at the number we're getting it right now, which is Pat Freiermuth higher than 3 receptions. I think we're going to see the Austin Eckler situation here, where before game time, this is going to be 3.5 in the morning. And hey, it might be 3.5 within the next 1 minute, so I'm going to keep it quick. Pat Freiermuth, it's very simple what he does. I mean, he's going to kill zone coverage, and he should see a lot of zone coverage against the Colts. The Colts playing the zone coverage at the highest rate in the NFL is a system that I've been keeping a close eye on the last several weeks. If you follow me on Twitter, I was all over the DeAndre Hopkins, huge game. Both times he faced the Colts, and it happened both times because DeAndre Hopkins kills zone, and that's Pat Freiermuth's role in this offense. Even if Mitchell Trubisky shows absolutely no improvement and no extra comfortability in this offense, you kind of look at what he's done so far, and Pat Freiermuth, he's been getting the volume, and even with a complete disappointment performance from Mitch Trubisky against the Cardinals and the Patriots, Pat Freiermuth, 5 receptions, 3 targets, or five targets, 3 receptions, and then 7 targets, 3 receptions. And then, right before that, in the Cincinnati game, when Trubisky came in the middle, 9 receptions on 11 targets, 120 yards. The Colts are another good matchup for him. He's going to get, he could get 5 catches for 25 yards just because of how broken the Steelers offense might look with Mitchell Trubisky. I don't want to trust that kind of usage, but I'll take the volume with 3 receptions. So we get a push, even if he lands at exactly 3. On the rest of the slate, and we see a little lag on my laptop. There we go. The rest of the slate, we finish out with actually what I think will be the most anticipated, one of the more anticipated games of the entire NFL slate this week, and it's the Saturday night game, and it's one of the better quarterback matchups. Actually, you mentioned Russell Wilson, and now we have Jared Goff. I think this is a complete bounce back spot for the Lions. If you saw my game line article pick, yesterday on playerprofiler.com/articles, I'm on the Lions. I think they dominate offensively, and even if the Broncos start cooking a little bit late in the game and make this a competitive game, I think the only way that the Lions get back in the win column and actually produce offensively, even in the case of blowout, it's probably going to happen because Sam Laporta is going to be eating against a Steelers. Another, we're targeting this zone coverage stuff. Another Steelers defense that is above league average in zone coverage. And Sam Laporta, he's cleared this in most of his games already. He loves playing at home. He's cleared this in most of his home games. But now he gets a good matchup as well. Obviously, we have everybody back on the team healthy with Amon-Ra St. Brown as well, but this projection is just too low for me. Projections have him around mid-50s here on Player Profiler, and my personal projections have mid-50s here. So Sam Laporta, he's actually 47.5 and juiced to the over on most sports books right now. We saw him at 47.5 in the morning. I don't know why it went down a yard. I'm not gonna read too much into it. It's a home game. There's no weather, to worry about here. You look at the targets line, by the way, it's 7. So I don't see how he gets 7 targets, given how smooth this Lions offense has been most of the season. I don't understand how he gets 7 targets and he doesn't get 50 yards in this matchup. So give me the fade of the Broncos defense. Even when they've gotten better against wide receivers recently, they still haven't gotten better against tight ends. That's my 2-pack, the tight end 2-pack.
If anyone is aware, they know how much I love Sammy Laporta. They are, I have him in a lot of spots for fantasy, and Denver, even in their improved metrics, is still not good there. I love the play on that side of it. I'm actually gonna have some of this in a 5er for me this week.
We like to hear that. And if you want all the rest of our leads, again, you should have the DFS Dominator. We're kind of winding down in the season already. We had a bunch of sales this season for the DFS Dominator. If you probably missed out on most of those, but definitely for next year, you want to get it on the DFS Dominator because we've been cooking. We're at over 100 wins now. We're around 60% winning on the Underdog Pick Generator. We're coming off a 13-4 1 week on the Pick Generator, and you can see the rest of our leans for the Underdog board. And for now, let's take some questions in chat. So we got a fancy question. Senior Football says 1 running back, 1 flex, and non-PPR. Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall, Devon Achane versus Cowboys, who's banged up. Zeke Elliott. It's week 15, and Zeke Elliott is in fantasy start sit questions with Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall, and Devontae Smith. I love this life. And Devontae Smith against the Seahawks, or Rashee Rice versus the Patriots. Those are a lot of good options. While Trevor thinks this one through, I will throw my hat in the ring and say, you start Jahmyr Gibbs. Love the role for him. Love the ceiling for him. He's also not facing the Vikings. He's facing the Broncos. But I love the spot for him. We just talked about the Lions offense. I love the ceiling. For that ceiling, you start Jahmyr Gibbs. And for the other spot, I'm personally going Devontae Smith, even though I like a lot of names on this list. Fun fact, A.J. Brown, the last 4 weeks, if you take out his garbage time receptions, which is, basically when the game is over, at least 3 possessions apart, if you take out all the garbage time action, A.J. Brown would be ranked outside the top 50 wide receivers each of the last 4 weeks. Teams are starting to lock into him when the game is close. I think you're going to see a close, hard-fought game in this Monday Night Football game between the Seahawks and Eagles. Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert should both be open all game long as the Seahawks cornerbacks hone in on A.J. Brown. So give me Jahmyr Gibbs and Devontae Smith.
Same. It's not even a question for me. Gibbs gets Denver, right? While they've been better, still one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And you just broke everything down on Smith. While I like all the other names there, and I want to just bring this up. Ezekiel Elliott, week 15, 18 and a half rushing attempts is his line on the books. I'm gonna say that out loud for the people in the back. Ezekiel Elliott on the Patriots has an 18 and a half rushing attempt versus Chiefs in week 15. And the wildest year we've had, that might be the wildest stat line so far.
And it's a fair line.
100%. I think he gets the opportunity. I don't think there's a ton of value to playing it on a higher or lower or betting it, but I think it's going to be real close.
Mike says, Nick Mullins under 240 passing yards. I will spoil that one of my leans on the underdog pick generator is a lower on a receiver in that game on his receiving yards, because in my opinion, Josh Dobbs has been done dirty. He's the one reason the Vikings have stayed competitive recently. Yes, he looked horrible against the Raiders, but Nick Mullins is not any better. And I will go to the grave with, I will bet every dollar I've got in my wallet right now that Nick Mullins' best is way worse than Josh Dobbs' best. So I'm not sure why they're starting him and they made Dobbs the third string. The only reason I didn't fade Mullins completely is because I don't want to play that, Justin Jefferson can get a huge play here and there if he plays. TJ Hawkinson, I actually like his matchup here as well. I think he's going to be open all day long, especially if Jefferson plays. I don't want to get screwed over by garbage time, and the possibility of garbage time is immense here, but I would lean the lower if you were to take a side on that.
Same. If you say gun to your head, you got to take a side. I'm taking the lower. Player profiler models them slightly under. I have them there as well. So that's just kind of my direction I'm going. Like I said, gun to the head, that's the direction I'm going there. And guys, I'm a 49er fan. In case this is one of the first times you listen to us, I've watched Nick Mullins play. The edge is on the lower.
And I personally, this comment might inspire me too. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a game stack on lowers. This is maybe the spot to do a game stack on underdog with Mullins and the receiver that I have for lower. And maybe I'll drop an entry for the Saturday games in the Discord later tonight. So good idea there, Mike. Senor says 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex. I'm locking in Rachaad White, A.J. Brown, and Brandon Ayuk. Looks pretty good. Also, PPR pick 1 wide receiver and running back. Puka, Rashee Rice, Jahmyr Gibbs, or DeAndre Swift. We just talked about Jahmyr Gibbs, and I'm also taking Puka Nacua here for the upside against the atrocious, despicable, embarrassing Commanders defense.
I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. It's Puka and Jameer, right? Washington, arguably one of the worst pass defenses. Denver, one of the worst rush defenses. Like, it's just, that's an easy click for me.
Mike with another tight end premium question. Kyle Pitts, Chuba. These are the ones that get me going. Now we're talking. Kyle Pitts, Chuba Hubbard, Elijah Moore, Keaton Mitchell, Brian Robinson is hurt, so definitely not him. Need two, please. Already rolling with Pollard, Walker, Sun God, Ayuk, which sounds like the right thing to do. Personally, we just talked about Keaton Mitchell. Not going to put my balls on the line for Keaton Mitchell, given that the Ravens running backs are healthy. Brian Robinson is out. So you need two between the other three. Give me Chuba Hubbard, who is now a workhorse ever since Frank Reich was fired, and give me Elijah Moore. I can't believe I'm passing up on Kyle Pitts, especially in tight end premium, but Joe Flacco loves himself some Elijah Moore. I assume this is at least half PPR, so Moore and Chuba for me.
I'm in the same boat. Chuba has elite usage now. Also on that other side of it for Pitts, they're Carolina, why they can't stop the run, like they're a turnstile at Disneyland. They're very good against the pass defense. So this is Bajan week. B-Rob's nicked up. So why B-Rob's been a great value this year. He's nicked up, and you just said it. Flacco loves more. I'm looking for upside in usage. That's who I'm rolling with.
And finally, we have Russell Wilson or Jake Browning, which is my favorite question of the week. Because
I know your answer to this, and I think we actually we might disagree on this one.
We definitely disagree on this one because I have Jake Browning ranked higher than Russell Wilson personally. I think Russell Wilson the reason I'm in line with your rushing attempts on Russell Wilson is because I think the Lions wake up defensively and actually, Jerry Jeudy, just a guy. It's going to be just Cortland Sutton, force feeds to Cortland Sutton. Otherwise, run for your life for Russell Wilson. So I don't see the ceiling for Russell Wilson in this game and a bounce back spot at home for the Lions. But I do see the ceiling for Jake Browning because, we've already seen flashes of it. When he has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the ceiling is there because that's a good pass catching crew when both of them are healthy. And the Vikings defense has been up and down all season long. They've improved, then they've had bad games. They've improved, had bad games. I'm not going to let last week's shutdown of the Raiders fool me on this one. I think the ceiling is higher for Browning, so I will take Browning.
Yeah, if ceiling is what matters, right? Hey, we care about ceiling. It's there. Cincinnati definitely has a better pass blocking matchup than Denver does. It's another reason I like Russ's rushing attempts. I think it's close. I don't think there's like a big gap. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that think there's a big gap between these two this week. I don't think it's a massive gap, but if I'm playing for upside, I'm definitely going Browning. If you're like, hey, I got a monster team otherwise, I need some floor, I'd maybe consider it a little more if you're more concerned. But hey, what are you trying to win here, right? You're trying to win all the money. If you're not first, you're last.
Absolutely. Good luck to everybody in week 50. Did I put up the wrong? I put up the wrong banner.
Hey, I'm down for a little tailgate. I'm down by the ocean right now.
We love Matt Babbage. He's usually joining us on the show as well. Shout out to the tailgate. Make sure you join us for the Monday Night Football tailgate as well, which I'm going to be on this week. But we hope everybody has a good week 15 in the fantasy playoffs. We hope everybody wins. If some of y'all in chat are facing each other, we hope both of y'all win this week. We are going to look to continue this hot stretch on Underdog. We're coming off a 13-4 in 1 week on the pick generator. But most importantly, we're looking for that elusive sweep. And it all starts on the Saturday slate tomorrow. And keep in mind that starting next week for the rest of the season, there won't be any more Wednesday shows. So we will see you after this sweep next Friday, same time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube and Facebook for Week 16.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you, allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.